Have to be fearless to succeed. You just need to have courage to conquer your fear. Being courage doesn't mean you don't have fear. It just you have don't let them stop you. Courage can give big impact on people's life, but how can courage affect an engineer life? Firstly, let us know what is meant by engineer.
How do we get around from place to place without having to walk everywhere? And how can we communicate with people who live far away? People struggled with for a long time until recently. Before there were things like cars and phones and computer. And you know who solved those problems is? It's an engineer. But do you know what an engineer is? An engineer is someone who wants to know how and why things work. Now I want to know how and why things work. But does that make me an engineer? No. Besides being naturally curious, an engineer is a person who design and build things like machines or system or structure that help to solve a specific problems. There are more than just one type of engineer. For an example, chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, civil engineer, and software engineer, and so on. No matter what kind of engineer someone is, their job at its most basic level is problem solving. Each engineer just specializes in solving certain kind of problem.
What are the characteristics of an engineer? A good engineer will have commendable technical knowledge, but a great engineer also has social and emotional intelligence. What makes engineers so sought after is their ability not to just handle the problem, but also solve the problem with their knowledge and their practical. First is logical thinking and reasoning. A great engineers need to be able to comprehend complex systems, how they work, how problems arise, and how to fix them. Second, problem-solving skills. There's no escaping problems when it comes to a project. A great engineer must be able to figure out where the problem comes from and how to fix them methodically and logically.
How courage helps engineers in industry. Let's imagine that you are working in a big plant that runs so many equipments and you are responsible to ensure that all of the equipments run properly. Then an experienced operator decided to run a process wrongly. Because of that process will increase their production rate at the production line. But it will affect the quality of our product. So that is our job to have that courage to correct the wrong working operation. Thank you.
Hi and good evening. My name is Muhammad Rafi Amran and I'm going to talk about 3 points that how to gain courage. First, remind that fear isn't always helpful. Fear is helpful in situations where we have to control and take steps to minimize the risk of our disasters and from coming true. In your comfort zone, boosting your courage is going to happen overnight. No pun intended. It is a day-to-day process. You are more likely to experience success in this area by one step at a time. For example, if you feel fear around talking to new people, start small by asking someone for direction or strike a short conversation you encounter in your day-to-day life. For example, cashier and etc. The last point is to take action. The most important point. When you feel low on courage, it is tempting to sit and think about how we are going to find motivation we're looking for. If you are waiting to feel more courage before take action, you are going to wait a long time. The longer you wait, the less courage you feel.
To know how courage helps engineers in industry, we have interviewed few real engineers to share their working experiences in engineering profession and how courage helps them in their career.
So first I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Siti Fatma binti Abdul Karim.
My degree is in Bioprocess Chemical Engineering from UTM Skudai, and my master is was from UPM Engineering Management, which basically preparing myself to become an operation manager, because it's engineering management is much more related to how to manage the operation in manufacturing plant. So after I completed my study, I become an engineer for quality process engineer in one of the world largest manufacturers. Everyone know it, I think, Top Glove Sdn Bhd as a in process quality control engineer. A bit introduction about Top Glove Sdn Bhd. So at that time is 2010. The manufacturing line is about 458 production line that they are producing 44.8 billion pieces per annum. So nowadays they have 648 production lines, and they produce 60.5 billion gloves per annum. So we can see the increasing numbers of manufacturing line that they have, and I know they are still hiring new engineers to maintain their manufacturing line and to sustain their business line. So at that time, this department, they just started develop this department, because quality department is already there, so they can continue with in process quality control department. So we as a young engineers are struggling on how to construct the monitoring process in terms of processing itself, not in terms of the product itself, because in terms of product is already established. And after that, I continued my masters for 1.5 years, and then I become a lecturer starting 2013 until now. I've been a lecturer for 5 years. Still teaching project management subject, which is my core subject, and also separation process. If we want to talk about encouraging, how this encouraging is affecting we as an engineer and we as a lecturer, they got two different things. Okay, number one, because of being an engineer in a new department, new sub-department in process quality control engineer, we as a young engineer, we need to develop our own system, and we have to think what are the things that we need to develop. So we have to learn what is the analytical skills, which that is the thing that we never learn in UTM Skudai or during our graduate life. So that is the most challenging part, and which is where your seniors or your seniors or your boss is looking for the solution from the young engineers. So that's the challenges. In my study, then I started to become a lecturer. So what makes me fall in love in this career path is my students, basically. So if the student is not there, I got no courage to stay here, because my passion is to give the knowledge to my student. My passion is to share my experience to the student. So if the students get the knowledge and know how to implement that knowledge, it is going to give me more energy to give more to my student.
Nama saya Hanafi Zainal Abidin. Saya asal daripada Perak lah, orang anak jati Perak. Saya mulakan saya punya education level ni di peringkat yang tinggi, nak kata tinggi sangat tak lah. Saya bermula dengan pra-sains dahulu, kemudian saya continue dalam diploma sains, dan seterusnya baru saya masuk ke dalam chemical engineering punya area lah. Selepas habis degree, saya sambung saya punya master di UiTM kesemuanya. Saya bekerja di industri untuk setahun dahulu untuk kilang semiconductor as electroplating engineer, proses electroplating engineer. Selepas tu saya ditugaskan untuk develop satu teknologi baru untuk industri di Malaysia, iaitu to develop incinerator di Malaysia. So daripada development of incinerator punya industri itulah saya berkembang dan gunakan saya punya experience from time to time untuk bawakan industri incinerator di Malaysia ni to be somewhere in the future. So saya pernah bekerja di beberapa company. Yang pertama sekali adalah saya bermula dengan Guthrie. Guthrie iaitu palm oil industry. Itu yang saya bermula sekejap. Kemudian saya masuk ke electroplating, iaitu saya bekerja di Dynacraft Industri Serembahat di Bayan Lepas, Pulau Pinang. Selepas tu saya attach dengan industri yang dinamakan sebagai XCN Teknologi Serembahat untuk develop teknologi incinerator di Malaysia. Projek itu adalah usahamama antara XCN Teknologi dengan UiTM. So bila saya dah masuk dalam that industri, saya gunakan UiTM punya connection itu untuk jadikan projek itu sebagai saya punya master project lah. Since to develop the technology is considered as a new technology in Malaysia and it's very niche punya area. Sebab kita compete each other. Dekat dalam industri, yes of course we compete each other, but at the end we need to naik sama-sama. Baru kita akan naik stronger. Itu yang saya believe daripada dulu lah. First thing first, prepare your mind. Itu step yang pertama. I know each and every one of you dah fundamental knowledge about engineering. Semua orang yang ada certificate degree in engineering should have that fundamental punya part. But apa yang nak bawa you ke depan, itu penting. Apa yang nak bawa you ke depan is not that knowledge sangat. Knowledge itu yes, dia akan boost up, tapi dia tak akan bawa you ke depan. Yang bawa you ke depan is your team.
So, as conclusion, no matter what kind of people in this world, you have to be courage. Courage is not only the absence of fear. Courage people do have fear, but they manage to overcome their fear so that it does not stop them from taking action. Without courage, you won't have much fun because you will always scared with almost everything. Fear and overconfidence are generally viewed as undesired emotion. This kind of emotion can lower the courage in ourselves. So, try not let your emotion, whether fear or overconfidence, get the better of you, but think rationally what to do. Remember, everyone is afraid of something or someone, but the difference is how they deal with the situation.